This is the case of Kendrick Johnson. If you want to know more about his case and the mysterious circumstances surrounding his murder, please continue watching.
You are watching Roll a Mile in My Shoes TV.
Getting more attention, mysterious death of a high school football player in Georgia and his parents who are convinced this was no accident. NBC's Gabe Gutierrez has more on the disturbing evidence in this strange case and the videotape that may be the key to all of it.
Newly released surveillance video shows small glimpses of Kendrick Johnson's final hours. The 17-year-old, known as KJ, is seen entering his high school gym in Valdosta, Georgia in January.
We got a body in coming to Lowndes High School now. There's a dead body out here.
But the video does not show how his body ended up here, inside a rolled-up gym mat in a lonely space just over 14 inches wide.
We got to fight for him, because if we don't fight, no one will.
Kenneth and Jacqueline Johnson believe their son was murdered, and someone has tried to cover it up.
We want justice, and we're not stopping until we get justice.
Today, a federal prosecutor here weighed in publicly for the first time, announcing a formal review of the facts, with the FBI prepared to help.
I do this with an open mind, neither accepting nor rejecting the opinions of anyone who has previously investigated the circumstances of his death.
After an initial autopsy, Lowndes County Sheriff's deputies and the Georgia Bureau of Investigation concluded that Johnson died in a tragic accident, that he fell headfirst into the upright mat, reaching for a shoe, got trapped, and couldn't breathe.
We believe we conducted a complete and thorough investigation, and we stand by that.
Johnson's family hired a private pathologist to perform a second autopsy, which determined Johnson's death was due to blunt force trauma to his right neck.
Where we found the trauma was in an area that had not previously been dissected or looked at in the first autopsy.
Now the case has been reopened, this time by federal authorities.
We know this was not an accident. We know my son was murdered, and we're waiting for the truth to come out.
And Kendrick Johnson's family is waiting for local officials to release 1,900 hours of security video from different cameras in the next few days. Images they hope will show whether their son truly died alone. Gabe Gutierrez, NBC News, Macon, Georgia.
Kendrick Johnson was born on October 10th, 1995. But on January 11th, 2013, he would be found rolled up and dead inside of a gym mat at his school in Lowndes County in Valdosta, Georgia. KJ, known to those who love and knew him, was a star athlete at his high school. He played basketball and football. And his family knew something was wrong when he did not come home the night before and did not answer his mother's phone calls, and also did not call his father, who he usually called and talked to every day. And the next morning, when his mother got to the school, she asked a resource officer who was there if that was her son that was found in the gym rolled up inside the mat. And when he or she responded, the answer was yes. His mother began to scream and cry because she knew that KJ had not come home and had stopped answering his phone the night before. And when she tried to file a missing police report with the police department, the officer told her don't worry, he's just probably somewhere laid up with some girl. And his mother said, no, you don't understand. My children know better than to do things like that, and know better than to not call me and let me know where they are. And they know that they have a curfew, and they know that they're supposed to be inside this house before their curfew and not a minute later. And with Valdosta being the racist county and town that it is, you have to think a lot of these police officers were of a different color than KJ and his family. So they just took it as, oh, this is some young black boy that, is somewhere, laid up with his girlfriend and forgot to call home or doesn't care to call home. But KJ, as I stated before, was not that kind of kid. He kept in contact with his family and his friends. And a lot of them, said that he was a warm, kind-hearted individual who would do anything for anybody. And many of them, or all of them, should I say, loved him because, that's the kind of person he was. He, attracted a lot of people and, because of his kind, warm-hearted nature. And the police officer, as you find out later in the case, was fired, or he resigned, shall I say, due to corruption and misconduct in a lot of his cases. And I think this was one of the cases because his son, who was supposed to be a friend of KJ's, which I find suspicious because I think that he murdered KJ, and due to him being a different color than KJ and his father being on the police force, it was covered up because it is said in the documentary, Finding Kendrick Johnson, that this young man who was supposed to be Kendrick Johnson's friend did not want to be questioned, and he was asked shortly as after the documentary or during the documentary if he had saw KJ the day that he went missing or died, shall I say, and the young man answered no. And if you go and look on the videotapes that they show in the documentary, you will see that Mr. Brandon, and I can't think of his last name at the moment, it escapes me, he lied and said he didn't see KJ, but as you can clearly see on the tape, him and KJ are standing feet apart right as he is entering the gym at 1:17 p.m. that day. And somehow, miraculously, the footage from the time he enters the gym to a couple of hours later is lost. And then some more footage is lost. And for some reason, no one knows why that camera wasn't working for an hour more during the time that it could have shown if KJ, was murdered or not. And I think it is very suspicious that, someone whose child is potentially involved in this case is the police officer in this case. And I think due to that, he covered up KJ's or helped cover up KJ's murder. Because as many of you know, all these people in this town, which is very small, like most towns, have some kind of connection, whether it be through family or friends. And a lot of people think that a lot of these meetings and things of that nature are held at the police station, or business meetings are held at these companies in boardrooms. But a lot of this business and these cases are held either in someone's dining room or kitchen around the table or on the golf course. Because like I said, a lot of these people in these small towns and mini towns are friends and family. So I think that it made it much easier for the police chief and police officers at the time to cover up KJ's murder. And like his mother said, it is very sad for this to happen because, he was really excited about going to Lowndes County High School. And I think it's really suspicious that he was found rolled up in this mat with this man's, shoulder width being 19 inches in, wide, and the mat only being 14 inches wide. Now, I'm not the smartest person in the world, but you can't squeeze 19 inches into 14 inches. I don't think that that's possible. I know it's not possible, physically, because there's not enough space to squeeze you in there. So I think whoever, did this, although it's not shown on camera, I think whoever did this, they probably were fighting with him and it probably got out of hand and they took it too far and they killed him. Now, it is important to also note that KJ and Brandon had gotten into a fight maybe a few days before his death. And, because it is said that, him and Brandon got into a fight on the bus because Brandon was pulling on his hair and things of that nature. And, some things, happened on the bus. So, they got into a fight. And unfortunately, Brandon's dad, being the police officer at that time, went to KJ a few days later and said, Brandon, lost the fight, I guess, and he wants a fair fight. So come to my house and fight him. And it is said that, KJ, looked at him and walked away, because I'm pretty sure he was trying to be respectful in the situation. But at the same time, him being a kid, he's probably thinking in the back of his mind, why is this grown man telling me this? And, he's also probably thinking this man has lost his mind because, me being a kid, that's what I would be thinking, that why is this, adult telling me this? Because, kid fights should stay between kids and the adult shouldn't get in the middle of it, unless it's to break it up or, settle the fight and say, hey, you two are friends. Y'all aren't supposed to be fighting. But then again, this is a racist town in Georgia, Valdosta, Georgia, to be exact. So I don't think that was the case. But, I think, if those tapes or the minutes or hours of those tapes can be recovered, in fully intact, I think it would show the final moments of KJ's life and if he was alone or not, which, I don't think anybody can possibly, fall into a 14-inch mat when your shoulders are 19 inches, apart or wide, shall I say, just to retrieve a shoe. And if anybody knows, if you throw something down in a hole and you could potentially, quote unquote, get stuck, as they say he did, upside down, you are going to not do that. You're going to push that mat over, to get your shoe and grab it from under there and then put it back down, like it was supposed to be. And from my understanding, I think it was KJ's brother on the documentary that said that that's what they would always do. They would tilt the mat over, away from them and then pull their shoes out and then put, back, upright like it was supposed to be. Now, I think that whoever did this to him, they killed him, rolled him up in this mat, and left him there. And that is why you have the blood that is found around his head, And I think that, that's why you have the injuries to his face, because if you see the photos of his face, when they take photos of his face, it clearly looks like this man or this child has been in a fight. I'm not, the smartest person in the world, again, I'll say that, but I know the face of someone when they have been beat up or in a fight, and his face just looked so battered and bruised, and I think it was more than one person involved in this child's death. But I hope his family can get some justice and find the closure that they need sooner rather than later, because his family has been fighting for years without justice. But if you guys like this video, please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.